So I'm an electrical engineer and I've never built a computer. I've got a desktop here. It was given to me by a friend, but I've never really had to delve into it. I mean, when I was a kid in high school in like seventh and eighth grade, I did little modifications, but never really a whole build, and I've never had to do any substantial debug. Anyways, this computer that my friend gave me just recently died. It doesn't turn on, doesn't really do anything at all. And so I'm going to see just kind of an experiment to see if I can use my electrical engineering intuition to figure out what might be wrong with this without knowing a bunch of the specifics. And I suppose it's a little unfair because I, I've advised students that are working on an open source ATX power supply, and so I know how a power supply works. I know all the stuff in this works generally, but I don't often look at it in practice on an actual computer. So I'm gonna set this guy down because it's actually super heavy, and we're gonna see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. Here it is. I'm gonna take the cover off, and I realize it is a little dusty. That's while I have it out in the garage. That's one of the things I'm gonna do is dust it off. But the fact is, and I can show you, I'll actually just power this guy on. Make sure my power supply switch is on. And I'm gonna push my power button. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Even when I flip the switch of the power supply, typically that will, at least what I've noticed, that will engage a fan, and that hasn't done anything. So my intuition is to think that the power supply has gone on it. Now, what is, I'm not entirely sure what can actually go wrong on a power supply. I know conventionally, if I were to design a power supply, there would be some sort of resettable fuse or something along those lines. But I'm thinking the thing I need to do is disconnect everything, disconnect all the loads, and see if that's what's preventing it from turning on. So when I look at this, I see this big harness that spreads out here. And I've got something, I think this has just been tucked underneath actually. These harnesses, looking at this looks like these are buttons going into a panel, so I don't really want to worry about that. I've got another connector here. But I know that this right here, this guy is one of my big power connectors. So I'm actually gonna just completely remove my power. I should have probably had that removed, and I really should be grounded too, but honestly, a lot of these devices are pretty well protected as long as it's not super humid or dry. I guess it doesn't really matter. So let's remove this main power connector. And I suppose while I'm at it, this guy's a really easy one to get to. This is my graphics card. Let's just pull that guy out. And I might as well just pull this one out, because I think, yeah, it shouldn't really matter where these guys get put back, but I'll just remember this one goes on the top. Maybe I'll just kind of set that on the top just to remember there. All right, so I actually think I've got most things removed. I'm not entirely sure if these cables are just tucked back, but it's not going to hurt anything just to plug it back in and give it a shot and see if that was enough to help it out. No, still got no life from the power supply itself. So I'm wondering how in depth I'm gonna have to get here. It is a little surprising that there's no fuse or no indicator on here. That's actually bad. I guess that's just once again my criticism as an electrical engineer and not necessarily a computer guy. So what am I gonna have to do? Or what sort of indicator is actually letting me know that this power supply is indeed bad? I think I'm just gonna unscrew it and do as much inspection as I can. I'm just gonna take these screws out using Phillips head screwdriver. It appears to be the only thing that's really holding it in place. And if necessary, I'll route these cables out. Worst case scenario, The power supply is bad and I have to buy a new one. I suppose best case scenario, it's not bad and I'll have just kind of learn how this is wired internally. I mean, right now the computer doesn't work, so it's not really doing me much good as it is. So, you know, every time I'm dealing with really big bulky components like this, I'm always gentle to not hit like a capacitor or connector or something along those lines, because that's a good way to ruin your day. So I'm just gonna gently pull this guy out here. I'm just actually, I have refined my nose quite a bit, and I can really smell burning electronics, like really acutely. And so I'm gonna give this guy a sniff. Don't think it's weird, because it's worked for me in the past a lot. So I'm gonna give it a sniff and just see if I can smell burning electronics. It might come back negative, but it's worth a shot. It all smells good. It smells fine, at least from what my nose can tell me. So I'm probably gonna have to set this guy back down gently. I have to pull this cable all the way out. So it looks like there's kind of this cable routing system beneath. I'm trying to see the best way to get this guy out of there. I can see like some little motherboard connectors. The problems that are known with this computer is, besides for it being a little dusty right now, but I don't think that would be enough to kill the power supply. I mean, I might be wrong. Comment below if a dust is enough to just kill a computer. I could do some Googling, but anyways, the only other problem is it's got a USB port that has like the plastic part of the connector broken off, and so it's just exposed conductors that looks like they've been kind of crushed. So that maybe could be one of the problems. Oh, it looks like there's another side of this panel because it's enclosed on here. Oh, I don't know if I like that. That's annoying maintenance there, to be entirely frank. From my design perspective, I always like maintenance over form, and I realize that's not the thing in the computing scene. So that's annoying. There's a Velcro strap that's holding this in place, and it looks like there's one holding it in place down here. So I'm guessing this whole panel must come out in some way. If I can see the whole panel, I'm not really seeing anything right away that stands out to me. Once again, I probably could be the best engineering thing to do is just to read the manual and see. But I was kind of curious to see if I could figure it out myself. So right now I'm just having troubles getting this dang thing all the way out. There's these other cables here. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this method is not gonna work. Just trying to pull it out. This guy has two sides. So let's take off the other side. It's gonna be a little bit harder to film, but take off the other side here. And I realize some of you guys are probably screaming at the screen saying, just use the other side. Yeah, I forgot that I could take the other side off. So I've remembered, and here we go. All right. There we go. There's the other side. And there we go. Yep, okay, that's a million times easier to get to that strap there. So let's pull this guy out. And this guy out. So I can see my hard drives. My hard drives are, interesting. One of these hard drives looks like it must have fell out of its mount. I don't know if I got it like that or if it's supposed to be like that. I assume not, but anyways, I'm gonna keep taking this power supply out. So I'm just gonna route this big power connector through all the rest of them. So it could be one of the power supplies that's potentially shorting things out. So it looks like I've got some connectors that are headed to that. So I'm gonna I'm gonna be able to do it on camera here, but I'm just gonna pull this connector and figure out what my last couple cables are actually going to. There we go. There's my big power cable. And let's see. Yeah, so I got a couple going up. Of course, yes, to fans. It's somewhat annoying that these are hardwired. Actually, hold up. Let's see. So it's these two connectors here. And they go in through this side. It looks like both of them are headed into the top of the motherboard, actually. Let's see if I can slip my fingers in. Not quite. I can get underneath of it here. Not quite. It's looks like this heat exchanger. This heat exchanger is going to need to come off first, and this heat exchanger is quite filled with dust. So while this is apart, I might as well just take this heat exchanger here, just take it all the way out. So it looks like there's just some screws here that I gotta take out. Anyways, while I've got it disconnected, I might as well really just clean it. And I'm just gonna use compressed air for that. I got a compressed air and a blower nozzle. Should be anything I need. And it really is, I mean, even if I wasn't fixing this, if I wanted to clean it, this would probably be the better way, is to really take it apart and clean it part by part, because otherwise I'm just gonna blow that dust somewhere else if I just blow a fan right into it. So, but once again, my main objective is just to get that power supply. I want to get that power supply isolated, because if it's bad, I'm going to take it out anyway. So I got 2 more screws here, and then we can take this big heat exchanger out. It's got a little bit of rust on top of this screw here. So I suppose that's something to kind of keep my eye out for, is to see if there's anything that has been affected by water anywhere. I mean, the only thing I can think of is a cat with a water-saturated chin sitting on top of my computer, which I know it's probably, if I figure out that it's due to dust and hair, it's because of my cats that this computer died. So, oh, interesting. So the fans here are not hard mounted to this heat exchanger. They're actually just kind of sandwiched. So I'm just gonna let those guys float there. Maybe I'll manually take off some of this dust just to prevent it from spreading. Just dump it on my floor here. All right. Good enough for right now. All right, now I can get to these connectors here. So looks like they got some sort of retention mechanism there. I'll grab myself a flathead screwdriver just to help. Oh, the retention's actually on the connector, not the cable. There we go. All right, so this is my other cable from my supply. Let's pull this out as a little cable gland here. That's what it's called. Ugh. It's kind of a one-way thing, unfortunately. Which is annoying. And I gotta squeeze it. In fact, I'm a little confused because this is a... Oh, I see. Now I just gotta give it a good push. That retention mechanism is what's getting caught there. But I'm just giving it a good push, and I'll pull it from the other side. And doesn't sound very happy, but it's just the actual connector against the metal. There we go. All right. So let's see. We're trying to pull the power supply out. I think I've gotten it out. So here we go. Let's get the entire computer out of the way now. Let's move that. Heat exchanger, drag him. So here's the actual power supply, right? It's been isolated. Got these connectors here, right? Okay, so this guy, now it's labeled. So this is the actual CPU, and is this just the ATX connector? Is that what that is? I don't know. So now it is fully isolated. Let's plug it in and see if it shows any signs of life. Fan on the top, not blowing. So now, any further can I go? Can I look at anything specifically in here? I might as well zoom in just for clarity. All right, so I don't know if there's any further I can get into this. Don't. Well, it's kind of a tough catch here. I could void my warranty and see what's wrong with it. But that's always the problem. Is maybe if I fix this, there's something upstream that's causing the problem with this entire power supply, right? And so if I fix it, well, one, it could happen again, that's fine. Or alternatively, I could fix it and then whatever's downstream breaks. Say it's the motherboard that's shorting things out, or something along those lines. But I really just want to know if there's a fuse in there. I tell students a billion trillion times that they should be adding fuses into their designs. And so to get a power supply that doesn't have a fuse or just some sort of protection, maybe that's some sort of planned obsolescence thing. But what the heck? I've already determined that this guy's bad or it's not working. And so I might as well at least see if I can figure out what's wrong with it. So here we go. Let's void a warranty. I don't recommend you do this, just to cover my own butt. But yeah, I don't recommend you do it. Oops, I need a pointer screwdriver. How about this guy? Not quite the screwdriver I need. This one's probably not going to fit very well either. Oh, that's perfect. All right. So take that screw off. Oh, let's not lose it. There goes that one. This one. And last but not least, the warranty voider. So here we go. Sorry, Corsair. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in warranty anymore anyway. So let's see. There we go. All right. Now we're inside. Let's get a good look here. Oh, interesting. Oh, there is a fuse. There's indeed a fuse and it's soldered on. You want to be careful touching stuff in here, right? We got some big capacitors that are fed by 120 volts. That said, all I want to know is this fuse. I'll point with the, well, I shouldn't use, I'll use the screwdriver here. This fuse, I can see it right there. It has, well, it's a fuse. It's fused and it's soldered in. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check and see if it's blown. It's annoying that it's soldered in. It's very annoying that it's soldered in. That's not very maintenanceable, but that's just the way it is. But I'm kind of looking here. I see a lot of jumpers. So this big board is probably has some thicker copper and it's a single layer board, just because it's a bigger power. And I can see the smaller power and control stuff is probably this this double layer board here. Is it actually double layer? Oh, maybe it's also a single layer board. Interesting. Okay. And there's a little bit of dust in there, so I might blow this guy off if I can get to work. Or, you know what? I should pull off this fan just so we don't have to have this guy in the way. Okay. All right. Well, usually, right, when testing a fuse, you want the fuse out, just because usually you test a fuse with the multimeter here and use continuity. I don't have that luxury of getting it out, at least. So I'm gonna take my multimeter here and I'm just gonna try it in the circuit. So that's, there you go. So let's see. And there we go. No continuity. So it's the fuse. The fuse is blown. That's easy enough. So getting that fuse out, let's see if I can zoom in even further and show you what that fuse looks like. Yeah. So you can actually see it. Oh, let's go the right way here. So it's this this white element right here, and it's got some AC cables in it, but it is definitely soldered in. And it actually is telling me, there's a little thing here telling me what fuse to use, interestingly enough, based on my wattage. And so I believe this power supply, does it say somewhere? I'd hope it would say somewhere on there. Oh yeah. This is a CX750, which I would assume means it's 750 watts, maybe. Where does it say the wattage? Maximum combined wattage 744. Oh, this is total 750. Yep. So looking at this guy, it appears that I need to be using a T10 amp fuse. So I don't have one of those, and I don't exactly know how I'm going to get that out. I mean, I could take the whole board off and unsolder it and replace that. But once again, you know, the thing that always gets me with these guys is I tell my students you always should have 2 fuses, right? A minimum of 2 fuses, because what I could do is I could order this fuse and I could plug it in and it might work for a little bit and go again, right? And so that fuse blowing indicates that there's some sort of problem upstream, or it might have just been some weird fluke. I don't really know. And so I'm gonna probably stop here. I'm gonna order 2 fuses, and maybe I'll show how I replace that later. But I'm gonna order at least 2, put this guy back together, and maybe I'll try it out, and hopefully it doesn't light the entire computer on fire. So there we go. That's how I figured out that I have a bad fuse.